What's going on, everyone? My name is Nicholas Merton here at DataDash, and today is December 13th of 2017. Well, folks, today I want to let you all know right before we dive into the daily update that I'm a little bit sick, so I apologize if I sound a little bit groggy, my throat's sore, and I also have my nose completely congested, so I apologize in advance. However, as always, I want to make content for you guys even when I'm feeling a little bit under the weather because I enjoy it, so I thought I might as well do a little bit of a daily update because there's some interesting things going on. First and foremost, I want to talk roughly about crypto markets as always, talk about valuations, hitting the big even of $500 billion in valuation. Still in la la land in crypto, everyone's making money left and right. And then we're going to be talking about doing some technical analysis on Bitcoin. There's a little bit of worrying price action showing inside Bitcoin right now that I want to talk about. And I know many of you out there don't like me being critical of talking about a correction and stuff, but please hear me out on it. Along with that as well, we're going to be talking about a tweet Vitalik put out. Very good tweet that I think is very important right now as the price continues to go higher and higher on cryptocurrencies. And last but not least, the majority of my tabs laid up at the top are going to be related towards a very, very important yet tiring topic that we have to continue revisiting every time a new one comes into circulation. All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the video. So global cryptocurrencies have made yet again new highs in markets after seeing a little bit of resistance at $450 billion and having our correction down to the $360 billion range. We moved back up to new highs around $500 billion, which is really, if you think about it, in the sense of scale, $500 billion. That's pretty crazy. I didn't think we'd get here in this overall bull rally that we've had in 2017. And it makes me more and more concerned as we go this fast that we're going to see a correction soon. I know you guys you probably think I'm beating a dead horse at this point, so I apologize for that. But I really do think that there's a lot of cryptocurrencies that are just moving up way too quick. I mean, we can look at the 24-hour change here. Tron is now a $1 billion currency. Not rarely on Tron or anything. EOS up 44%. Verge up 42%. Potcoin is almost worth $100 million. Ripple has, again, continued quite well. And I mean, we see this with the market leaders. We don't even need to put the 24-hour gains on. Ripple and Ethereum still rallying. IOTA and Litecoin holding their gains. Dash doing well. Monero doing well. Again, EOS just killing it. And the forks still remaining in the billions of dollars in valuation. It's a little crazy, folks. I mean, we gotta sit back and think if these are really justifiable valuations. A lot of these coins don't have adoption, and that's what worries me. That's what really genuinely worries me, especially some of these ones that are moving at the bottom. You can even go to the next page and stuff, the next 100, and see just how much some of these are moving and stuff. Fedora coin, oh no. All right, so anyways, enough of me being negative on overall markets. It's time for me to get a little bit critical of Bitcoin. So, of course, as always, guys, I know there are many of you out there who are hodlers, who aren't looking at price action, who don't think technical analysis is necessary. And if that's the case, that's fine. I don't want to argue with you guys, and I know you all will be critical of me about talking about a correction since 10K. That's understandable. I have been talking about it since then. However, I do want to clarify something. A lot of people have been saying that I've been calling a correction since 5K. It's not exactly true. At least people are misquoting that. I did call for a correction at 5K, and in fact, I was pretty much right on the money with it. I locked out a decent position in my Bitcoin, and then I bought down in the low 3,000 range. That was the last time I added to Bitcoin. But I was able to play this correction very well, and I went back into it and rode the rest of the wave as I knew there was going to be more upside price action, or at least I was confident in it. But I will be honest, I thought we were going to get a correction since 10K, and of course we have gone up from here. So I'll as I've said in the past few videos, I was completely off on that. It continued higher. However, there's something that I've been noticing, and as you can see, I have the ellipses tools used a few times on this chart, and I have the RSI brought up here. There's a lot of signs in this market that were showing similar patterns back to 2013, and along with that as well, signs that the market is overbought. So I'm going to try and do some very simple TA today to show you guys that. First and foremost, I'm noticing the double top up here, and this is what's going to be showing us really the big sign or indicator that this market might be a little overbought. As you all can see, we had a pretty drastic correction, then we came back up to the highs, and for the past few days, actually the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days, we have not been able to get past the previous highs of one of the fastest parts of our run up during this year, and that was on December 7th. So we're still experiencing a double top as of now in the sense of technical price action. Bitcoin has not made new highs now. That's not a reason to get bearish, but we're going to see later on how that plays an important role. A double top is not a good sign, but it's not enough as is to just be like, oh, time for a correction. Well, first and foremost, if we take a look back over this year in 2017, I mean, we've had a great run up, and we've gone pretty much from, at the beginning of 2017, around the $1,000 range over towards right now around 16,000, and on some exchanges 17 to 18,000 on our peak. And we had really 3 major corrections after 3 bull runs. So we had one over here, which was a nice extended one after a nice extended bull run, a well-deserved correction, and it was a very healthy looking correction. And then we had more rapid price movement, and then a more rapid correction. And then again, we have more rapid price movement, rapid correction. And then after this, we get the mania bull run. We have the first initial part of it, and then we have this portion where we hit the big even at 10,000 and had some sideways price action. You can see that for 3 days, we really tried to test that level. We had been able to go above it, but not close above the level. And once we had to jump up above 10,000, we held it. Had a few days of price strength confirmation, these candles that are holding above the 10,000 level, and then we had the mania rally where we went all the way up to 16 to 17 to 18,000 depending on what exchange you looked at. So this was pretty much a good summary of the bull run that we've been in so far. The thing I really want to bring up that concerns me is I always like to look, and this is something you can do in traditional markets, and I know people are like, oh god, Nick, here goes Nick again trying to use traditional markets. There is a very common thing that you can do, and that's looking towards the past and seeing similar patterns. Now, I know you all are going to laugh at me here probably because this run-up is much more short-lived than the one of 2017, and I'm trying to, some people might think it's silly to compare something that happened within a matter of a few months to something that happened pretty much in almost an entire year. And that is the run-up in 2013 from October. So I want to talk about some striking similarities. First and foremost, you have 3 major corrections, a sideways period, and a double top. Now this happened within a matter, these run-ups and their corrections happened within a matter of weeks and days for the corrections. That's just what Bitcoin was at the time. It was moving from a valuation of $100 to practically 1,000 or 1,100 on the chart, rather than 1,000 to 16 or 17,000. It's a whole new playing field where you need much more liquidity to move markets higher. In this case, you really didn't need as much. And again, at the same time, there was a lot of hype in the media for Bitcoin's valuation at the time with all the Silk Road and all the craze going on. So let's take a look here and see if we can get some similarities. Well, we had more of an extended run up here, kind of like what we saw at the initial part of 2017 going into May and June. And then we had the correction going in through July. Looks like a fair kind of run up in correction. And then we had an even faster run up and a faster correction here as well, where Bitcoin dipped quite fast from the highs around $350 or $360. And then an even faster run-up and a faster correction, very reminiscent of what we saw just a few weeks ago when Bitcoin was going to 7,000 and back down to around the $5,500 range. Very fast, volatile action. And then we saw a sideways pattern at 800. And we waited to get above there, got the confirmation, and then the mania rally, as I like to call it, the kind of final one. And then a dramatic shoot down, and then a rise back up to the same level, and an inability to pass the previous highs, to keep up with the momentum. Sometimes it's too much, and I think that's what we're experiencing right now. Now, you all might think, again, like I'm nitpicking, and sorry, I'm very low energy today because I'm a little bit sick, but I hope you all can kind of see where I'm going for. You can also look historically, and one of my favorite indicators to use is the RSI. And I know it could vary depending on what exchange you look at. However, on Bitstamp, if you look, the 2 highest levels on the RSI in Bitcoin's price history were back here during 2013. You had 95.72. And real quick before I dive into that, if you don't know what the RSI is, it's the Relative Strength Index. It's a great way to simply tell whether something's overbought, if it's above the 70-point range, or if it's oversold below the 30-point range. First and foremost, you had it date back here, where it was at 97 for the RSI, and then over here on the way to the rally, you had the highest record of being overbought at 94.7. But throughout the entire history here on Bitstamp and practically every other exchange, and I've gone through the days and tried to look at them one by one, the highest recorded day where Bitcoin was overbought was here on December 7th, the real last day of the mania rally, where we ranked in at 94 on the RSI. And that's concerning numbers. Now, we can see historically Bitcoin stays over the RSI. That's not so much of a worry. It can stay overbought for a little while, and then, of course, it has corrections. But when Bitcoin stayed above the RSI, as we've seen in the past, it usually has a correction following. Not to mention, we had the highest level since 2013. That's not technically healthy for Bitcoin. Okay, so these are just a few things I'm bringing up. I could talk more in depth with it, and you guys know I have been talking about a correction since 10K, so don't take my word as a heed for fudding and selling all your Bitcoin. No, I don't want you to do that. I still haven't changed anything about my major crypto positions. I don't have the energy to do it right now. But I will say, don't be surprised if we start seeing, again, like what we saw back here over the past few days, where we saw a pretty steadfast correction in the price and not coming back up for a little while and waiting for one of these moving averages. I don't know if we're going to get a full 50% correction, but I do know to a sense that this market has had a fantastic run-up, and with every exuberant run-up usually comes the difference that exuberance can make within a few days, meaning we're going to most likely get a correction. So again, for a quick summary, here are some photos. If you guys want to take a step back and really look at them, again, these were the ones I was talking about. You have your overbought level in the RSI, and your highest recorded one over here, except for the one in the past back in early 2013. Alrighty, so next up, Vitalik's tweet. This is something I really wanted to share, and as we're talking about valuations here, we hit $500 billion or $0.5 trillion in valuation for crypto markets, and that's incredible. The question is, have we earned it? And you guys, look, I again, not being negative on crypto, I absolutely love what's happening here, and seeing some of the innovation that's come up as of recent, all of the scaling solutions for Bitcoin, other different approaches to blockchain, outside of blockchain for decentralization and building these decentralized currencies. I'm very optimistic about what's going on in this space and the constructive debates and discussions that people are having on the technical side. However, I do not think we've earned it, because as we go down the list, Vitalik lists out a few things that are very true. How many unbanked people have we banked? A lot of you don't know, a big reason why cryptocurrencies are revolutionary in a sense, especially with all the new implementations on top of first-gen crypto, which is Bitcoin. We've been looking towards finding ways to unbank people who originally don't have access to banks. There's about 2 billion people in this world in underdeveloped countries who don't have access to traditional finance like we do here in the West. And that's sad. And cryptocurrencies were aiming at fixing that, but we really haven't unbanked that many people. And of course, it takes time. Yes, I understand. And sometimes valuations put into things before they come into fruition. And hence, that's what happened during the dot-com bubble. You had excitement come to the internet, and then its implementation came later. Censorship-resistant commerce for common people. Another thing as well, how many developer apps have we created that have substantial usage? Again, the thing that's clogging up Ethereum's network right now is crypto kittens. Have we seen any actual serious enterprise solutions at blockchain that are helping companies save money, hire new employees, create economic growth? Haven't seen it yet. And I mean, I could go down the list of all these things. How much value is stored in smart contracts that actually do anything interesting? Smart contracts are pretty dumb right now. Like, they don't do that much. And again, I don't have time to go through all these, but Vitalik, I love how Vitalik, who was a founder of the second largest cryptocurrency in the sense of valuation, is actually being honest about this and saying that we have a long way to go to really meet the valuations and the promises that blockchain is making. I love it to death, but I think we're getting a little too optimistic about, oh wow, Bitcoin's price keeps going up. Oh, look at the price. We don't talk about the actual tech, and that's a problem. So again, I think we need to talk more and more about innovation in the space and actually invest in projects that actually bring about upbringing for decentralized applications and real substantial decentralized currencies. So, All right, this is going to take a lot of energy out of me, guys, and I can already tell. I think you guys are going to love this. You'll remember back in November when SegWit 2x was canceled by the developers. Okay, now this wasn't back in 2016 if you're new. This was something that happened in 2017, literally a few days from a month ago. Well, Jeff Garzik is back at it again, guys. The founder of SegWit 2x and the leader in the project, who canceled the previous fork, is now creating a new one. And it's just as wacko as ever. No, just kidding. Okay, I feel bad using this photo of Jeff Garzik, but I love this one. Whatever person took this photo, I'm sorry, Jeff. You probably should find out who they are and punish them in some sort of way, because that's a bad photo. But anyways, on a more serious note and more mature and critical note, the Bitcoin developer himself is going out and he's trying to launch a new forked currency. So we're going to be talking about what this forked currency is. The currency name is Bitcoin United, and we'll be describing what this is all about. But this got a lot of coverage out of a big Bloomberg article that's been trending recently. So after the cancellation of SegWit 2x, I think Garzik, he made it clear in his letter that he was going to be working on something that would be better and get more adoption from the miners. So far, supposedly, he says that there's 10% of support, mostly in Asian countries where mining operations are currently. That's where the majority of the support is. But basically, with this, it's going to be a replacement for SegWit 2x, or what SegWit 2x was going to be. So you can already imagine, and I can tell you all right now, that this fork is going to have the implementations of SegWit 2x. It's going to have segregated witness activated, so the separation of the signature. Along with that, it's going to have the block size increase. This one is not going to have a 2 megabyte block size increase, though. It's 8 megabytes. So this is what Bitcoin Cash is, basically, plus segregated witness, okay? Not to mention, this one is going to have a few extra things. First and foremost, they're going to be adding new smart contract features with the Universal Virtual Machine. And this is going to allow people to build smart contract applications with the Bitcoin or Bitcoin United network. So again, something that some people have originally wanted, to have smart contract abilities with something branded with Bitcoin, or originally a lot of the similar Bitcoin source code. I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's good. I don't have any issue with it. Not to mention the implementation of the Lightning Network, being integrated and ready for the Lightning Network, I think is good. I think any Bitcoin fork or Bitcoin itself needs to be prepared for it. And I think we should definitely look forward to the innovations in the Lightning Network. But a lot of this is not really what it's all about. You can continue reading through. We don't have the time to go through the article. In fact, we're going to go through more of the substance and what a lot of people are genuinely concerned about in regards to this fork. Because outside of this Bloomberg article, it's not getting much media coverage. It's a very early stage fork, but it's already been released and distributed. So it's very important to learn about what it's all about. So this is the logo, United Bitcoin, and we're on the white paper right now. It's all on a web page here. So we'll go through and talk about some of the basics. So part one, the abstract. It's basically talking about as Bitcoin is continuing to grow, there's a lot more confidence coming into this disruptive technology through futures and all kinds of different listings for Bitcoin. However, they're talking about how Bitcoin's value as a currency is not practical. So, of course, much like every other fork, it's trying to be the proposed solution. What are some of the proposed solutions with Bitcoin here? Well, Bitcoin United. First and foremost, they are going to be, as I stated, increasing the block size, implementing SegWit 2x, SegWit 2x, implementing SegWit, segregated witness. But they also have a few things: smart contract implementation, as well as something that we need to talk about in regards to their operating model. Okay, now this is something that concerns me to a degree. Now, Bitcoin United shares a lot of the same core principles with Bitcoin. However, this is something I've never seen a fork do, and I'm still curious if this is somehow allowed. I guess it is, seeing as it's its own separate thing, or a fork off the network. But here's how United Bitcoin is aiming to be a little bit different. They're trying to build an almost kind of reserve system where they're going to take all of the inactive addresses and By inactive, I want to make clear as we go over. Sorry, let me actually see if I can get it real quick. The actual date, I think, was somewhere in here. Okay, well, I'll get the date here in a minute. Okay. They're going to be taking the inactive Bitcoin addresses, Bitcoin, United Bitcoin, sorry. They're going to take the United Bitcoin that are correlated with the original Bitcoin of inactive addresses. So there's a lot of inactive addresses on the Bitcoin network. People who have bought Bitcoin and are just holding it. They're not making transactions with it. And because of that, United Bitcoin is going to take those who haven't made transactions. I think it was actually November 11th, 3 days after the fork was canceled. Anyone who hasn't used their Bitcoin or made transactions or sent it to another exchange from November 11th onward behind, you will not get United Bitcoin. That's going into one of two things. 30% of it is going into distributed technologies and other blockchain cryptocurrencies. So, for example, if you hold Quantum or Ethereum or a few other select projects that United Bitcoin deems deserves it, you get some of it. Not those people who are holding their Bitcoin. No, they don't get it because they haven't transacted it in the past month. We've determined that they don't deserve it. So, I don't know how most people feel about that. I sure as hell know I wouldn't feel good about that because a lot of people are, keeping their money in Bitcoin and they're holding it because it's acting as an investment. So I don't know. Maybe that's their kind of stick is like, yeah, we're a currency. Yeah, so we're going to give it to people to get them interested and reel them into our new forked currency, our forked network. I think it's wrong. But the biggest thing that I'm interested in here, and I not in a good way or a bad way per se, is what they're doing with the other 70%. And that is they're building a reserve system. So it's going to be very hard for me to explain this, especially because I'm sick. But basically what they're taking is 70% of the inactive addresses Bitcoin, or United Bitcoin in this case, and they're going to put it into a reserve for the entire network. And this reserve is going to have pegged tokens that are tied to fiat currencies. So picture Tether, for example, almost being serving as like having all these different fiat currency tokens for the dollar, for the Chinese yuan, Japanese yen, the pound, euro, whatever it may be. They would have these delegated tokens that are pegged to chosen fiat currencies, and they would be backed like a gold standard by United Bitcoin. Okay, so the United Bitcoin is going to act as a store of value behind it, and supposedly they say that they're only going to create 33% of these, 33% of the total United Bitcoin value in pegged fiat currencies. So for a simple example, if in your reserve you had, from my understanding, $100 worth of United Bitcoin, you're only going to have $33 of pegged fiat tokens. Okay, so that's my general idea of it. And this is supposedly to help bring this as more of a platform that will attract mainstream users and bring about global trade and large-scale projects. It's very vague, though. I don't get this. Like, who dictates this? Who controls this? Who determines the fiat currency tokens? And not to mention, the highest thing that's most unprofessional out of all of this, or unprofessional, is the fact that I've had to read through this multiple times to even get a slight concept. I might be wrong on it because it's so vague and unexplanatory. There's no good diagrams. So, again, I mean, this is the best you're getting right here. Like, very basic diagrams that don't tell you anything. And you go through here, they don't talk about it. They just talk about things that are obviously clear. Most people know what segregated witness is. People know that, of course, yeah, you're going to be copying over SHA-256 proof of work mining. Of course, yeah, it's Bitcoin. They act like a lot of what's on here, especially even the addition of Lightning Network, is somehow their innovation of some sort. And again, going through their diagrams, active Bitcoin, you get your forked United Bitcoin. The inactive Bitcoin, it's like, this is all so basic. Now, I do like the smart contract implementation, and of course, you're going to need Lightning Network. I'm extremely excited to see how Lightning Network works. But, I mean, there's so much impracticality here. There are over, right now, if we take a look at it, if we take a look at addresses that have at least $1 worth of Bitcoin, there's 19 million. Now I can assume that some of those are practically dead addresses. Either they have no one using them, they're abandoned of some sort, or there's just some people make multiple addresses. I'll even cut that number to let's say for example it's 20 million, and I want to cut it down all the way to 6 or 8 million active holders of Bitcoin who know how to get into their addresses or get into their wallets and manage their Bitcoin. Okay, let's say that. You're literally cutting out a massive chunk of people by simply setting the date to November 11th of 2017 or afterwards of being active. I'm sorry, I'm not wording this properly and stuff, guys. I apologize. But basically what I'm saying in this regard of what it's proposing is that if you haven't moved your Bitcoin, so if you haven't moved your Bitcoin before November 11th of 2017 or to this day, or November 12th when they forked the currency, you are not getting United Bitcoin. You're not getting your forked currency. That forked currency generated that was meant for you is going into their reserve system. So just because you haven't moved your Bitcoin in practically a month, you don't get this new forked currency. So they're forking currencies and not allowing you to have it. I don't know. Seems really, really odd to me. Not to mention, to keep in mind here, we only have about 1 million addresses that are active. I've seen this statistic around. I don't know exactly how it's measured. But again, you're really cutting out a lot of people with this fork. And the fact is they've already launched the fork itself. It launched on December 12th. And there's only one exchange trading it out, and I think it's in Hong Kong. They have an exchange that's trading it for around $500 per United Bitcoin. I don't know. The real injustice, though, guys, is the stock photo they used for the launch event. Jeff Garzik, I hope you know. I hope you know right now that this is a crime. This is too much of a generic stock photo. Did you really have champagne at the launch? I'm really curious about that, Jeff. What about these tall little glass bottles here? Did you have that? Did you have some of the finest New York City tap water in it? We'll see, Jeff. We'll see how much your United Bitcoin will be worth. I'm just kidding. I don't know what I'm saying. But yeah, I genuinely just don't get this, guys. The one thing that will always, again, I'm always open to innovation and competition. People say with the forks that innovation spurs with these because it's currencies competing to be the real Bitcoin or the real whatever, depending on what currency you're forking off of. Here's the problem. None of these forks are going to get adopted. I'd say the only one that might have a slight chance is Bitcoin Cash. And even Bitcoin Cash is going to have to go through the same years upon years of marketing at some faster rate to somehow surpass Bitcoin. Because, quite frankly, more than half of the people who have Bitcoin most likely haven't claimed their Bitcoin Cash or their Bitcoin Gold, or they would have never claimed their SegWit 2x or their United Bitcoin, especially if they haven't been active with it. They're not getting United Bitcoin. So no, see, that's meant for the other cryptocurrency people, the guys who are holding Quantum and Ethereum and other projects that Jeff Garzik and others feel are necessary to hold this currency. They're not yours. Sorry. We're forking and making free money, but you don't get a piece of the action. You are inactive. It's just like, I mean, how much more crazier can you get? And now, to Jeff Garzik and everyone out there, I'm all for smart contracts. I'm all for Lightning. But this is just stupid. I'm sick, and I even get how stupid this is right now. All right. Well, anyways, that's enough ranting and raving. I'd like to hear what you all think about this in the comments down below. Do you think United Bitcoin is the real Bitcoin? I'd like to hear about it, guys. Do you think it's going to go to thousands of dollars in valuation? Love to hear about it in the comments down below. Anyways, everyone, that's it for the daily update. I'll talk to y'all later. Take care, and please stay safe and don't get sick.